Hello everyone, welcome to another ZBrush class by Alain Diaz. Today we're going to add articulation to our torso part, middle part here. We're going to be working on this model that we already added articulation to. And so we have to mine, let's hit flip here, the articulation parts are already exist on this guy and make sure that we don't damage those. Flip. Okay, so to start our articulation here, let's insert a sphere, and let's also insert a cylinder. Now let's hit move gizmo, center the gizmo, let's move this up. Now these are centered with each other, and this is very important because I need this guy here to be exactly in the center of this sphere. Okay, so now we take the sphere and just merge it down with the cylinder, obviously, like that. Okay, and that's the sphere centered. So let's turn on our torso here, and now we're gonna shrink our sphere. Let's go to our torso here and flip it. That way we can see the parts that we don't want to damage. Let's go back to our sphere. And so we're going to pick somewhere in here. We don't want to get too far. Our circumference here, we don't want to get too far away from the edge here, because the further you go from the edge, when this twist, the weirder that this will look on this side here, because you got so much mass coming out. So you want the top mass to kind of just fall on top of the bottom mass. So that's what we're looking for a silhouette, sort of like that. A little higher. And also very important is the center. Center of this should be centered with this mass, because that's what from center here to the edge is the amount of room we have for this thing to pivot from side to side. So you want equal amounts of space from the side as you want both from the middle. And of course the front here is the widest part, but that's fine. Okay, that looks good, and it's centered. Let's take this guy and flip it back. Okay. Alright, so we're not actually cutting into it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna twist, because that's where I want it to be. We're gonna go ahead and select our move tool here, and we're gonna do a little bit of tweaking. We're gonna bring this forward a little bit, and we're gonna bring this in, actually pushing it down, down like that, down like that. Okay, like that. And so now let's go to our sphere, turn everything else off. Let's separate these two different polygroups. Control Shift click, split hidden, and now he's separate over there. And our sphere here, let's make it a negative boolean so we can cut into our main torso here. Duplicate the torso, turn on boolean, and that's what we're getting. Okay, let's go ahead and make a boolean mesh. Insert, turn off boolean. Okay, let's hit auto groups here. Control Shift click, delete hidden, and that's our top part. Now we need to cut that from the bottom, so let's duplicate this. We're gonna make this a negative. Now we need to dynamesh it first, and then we're going to inflate to 3. Okay, and let's turn everything else off and turn on the main guy here. Turn on the live boolean. Okay, now we're getting a small little edge around there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna select the main part here. Make sure the boolean is still on. And with the move tool, let's move. Make sure you have symmetry in. Let's move this in a little bit to get rid of that edge that's coming out. Let's move it in. Just slowly and just a little bit, push it in. While we're in a live boolean mode, because we haven't made the boolean yet, so we can still make alterations to all the parts. Okay, that's good enough. We're also going to smooth that. Make a boolean mesh, and we insert our boolean mesh. Let's see. Okay, that's great. And so now we have this part and we have this part. All right, slightly overlapping. So to see what that would look like when it pivots, because they're all on center. Oops, turn off the boolean. Center of the sphere. Let's duplicate that sphere and bring it up here on top of our main. But let's go ahead and delete our boolean bust. The bust that we duplicated, dynameshed and inflated. Let's go ahead and delete that one. We already used it. And so we're gonna put the sphere on top of our main bust here. Now select the sphere. Make sure center on the gizmo, and let's merge it down onto our main bust. So merge down. Okay. So this is now on center of rotation to our pivot point. And let's show the part on the bottom. Edit draw in on our bust here. Let's select our top part and let's bring back the gizmo. And now the ball is hidden. And we can bring the bottom and we're gonna see what this will look like when it pivots. So that's good. That's good. We'll clean those sharp edges up a little bit, but otherwise that's kind of nice. You get a lot of movement out of that. Okay, so we like what we got here with the movement, so it's a matter of finishing this up. And we're gonna go ahead and shell these so we can keep going. So to shell, we just need to make a small little hole somewhere. So we go up here to our insert brush here, select the cylinder. Well, symmetry is on. Let's right in the little center here. Click and drag, and just make a small, tiny little hole right about that big. And now click and drag your transpose line and insert it about that much. So that'll be where the hole for your shell is. And so we gotta separate that now. Let's go ahead and Control Shift click on the. Oh, let's do a excuse me, auto group. Control Shift click, split hidden, and now that hidden part. First of all, make sure it's under the torso here, and the rod part here, we're gonna make that a negative. And now this torso part here, we're gonna come down to Dynamesh, and we're gonna Dynamesh this. We're gonna Dynamesh, this was 640. Let's try. And let's see, go back. I didn't see that. Yeah, that's nice and crisp. And so now we're gonna go ahead and merge down into that cylinder that we inserted earlier and made it now a boolean. So insert the part you want to shell into this little cylinder and make sure it's a negative before you merge down. Okay, so now this is ready to be shelled. And so now we come here to the same Dynamesh and we find our create a shell button and thickness. And the thickness for this part, which is like inch, I'm guessing here, but oh, look at here it is. The 1 by 1 and 29. So I'm gonna, because it's 1 and a 1.5 by 1.5, give or take. I'm gonna have to put this at 20. Do a 20. Okay, and hit create shell. Okay, let's flip, and we have part all shelled out. Let's see, the thickness of our shell here is this here, so let's see how thick that is. 0.07, so that's perfectly good for the bottom. You don't want any less than 0.04, and for what I need down there, this is perfectly fine. Flip this, okay, and now our top part here, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna insert a cylinder, make sure symmetry is on, right in the center here. Back and forth, and Control Shift click. Oop, let's back away on here because we have a hidden subtool on here, right? So that's the duplicate we were on both. So we can go ahead and delete that. Delete hidden. Let's insert that cylinder again. Control Shift click, split hidden. Okay, let's put it under our bust here. And let's bring it into, just I guess when you stretch it out, and because you want to have it into the part, about that much, enough to break to the far into it, enough to go through the shell that we're just going to create. Okay, and so that's under. So that's over our cylinder. In our cylinder part here, we're going to make that a boolean. Now, before we merge down, let's go to Dynamesh and make sure Dynamesh is going here. Same as the bottom part, Dynamesh, about 616 Dynamesh. See, these edges are going to have to go. They're getting way too sharp. So we just smooth them away. And then Dynamesh again. Smooth. Dynamesh. There we go. No more sharp edges. Moving forward here with our shell, just like the bottom part, we're going to put this around 20. And it's a little taller than the bottom part. So we're going to do this at 15. Let's do it at 17. Create a shell. Oh, right. So we need to merge down our bust into our negative Boolean rod, right? So merge down. There we go. And create a shell. we go. Let's do a flip. Okay. Looks pretty good. Let me take a measurement here. Up the gizmo. Measure this outer wall here. 0.06. That's perfect. Flip. I would do a save now. Where's my damn folder? Recorded videos. Okay, save. Yes, and thank you. All right. And so we're ready to go here. Okay, so to keep on going with our figure here, we have our top and bottom parts all shelved and ready for the next step. For the next step here, we're going to go back to our original bowl that we used to cut these guys in half, which is in the center of everything we need. And we're going to duplicate it. Now this duplicate, we're going to turn on our the top part here, flip it, so we can see the bottom part of the shell here, right? Go back to our sphere, make sure the ball stays on, the center our gizmo, Control Shift, gizmo center, and on this duplicate ball here, we're going to increase this to just turn off transparency, to just under the surface of the shell here, right? Once again, we're going to increase this to cover just under the surface of the bottom shell there. Alright, and now that, from this angle, we're going to go ahead and mask off this top part here. A little less. You want to be just under the edge here. Just under. Okay, and let's do a extract on that. Let me turn off this top part here. We don't want this too thick. No, it's too thick. Let's 2.01. That's good. Accept. Okay. And now, so now we have that ball we inflated. Turn everything else off here. And we have the part we just extracted. Let's bring the ball under the part we just extracted. Turn on the boolean here. Live boolean on. And go ahead and make this part. Okay, let's insert it. Okay, there it is. Alright, so now we have this kind of setup going here. This is what's going to be in the bottom. Now this part is too big, but we're going to use that to cut the cavity, or a smaller one that looks like this one is going to be able to swing from side to side. Or the top part will be able to swing from side to side. Okay, so with that done, let me clean my scene here, turn off the boolean. Let's get rid of that. We have the part we just did, have ball. That's the old boolean part that we boolean, delete that. So this part here, okay. So let's go ahead and get a duplicate of our part here. Duplicate. And in this part here, first we're gonna, on the duplicate, it's gonna be a boolean. We're gonna go ahead and do a dynamesh on it. Geometry, dynamesh. Okay. Let's do an inflect. Information. Three. Okay. And so now let's go ahead and make some room up here, because obviously this is too protruding out here, so we can't have that. Select the trim curve, and let's go ahead and cut this right there. See the other part showing through. And in the front here, we're going to cut it right here. So that just means that the tilt back and front, you won't be able to have as much as the side to side. That's fine in the sides because we have enough room. And this is too short right here, so let's actually give it another little turn right there. Shoot. Near and well. Okay. So I'm just kind of turning and checking that border here, making sure that nothing, no part, that's getting too thin there. We're gonna have to turn that also. Turn off the other one. There we go. Let me see. We want to keep this about the same thickness all the way across here. All right. Now, well, nope. There and one. Okay. All right. Okay. So this part will go inside that part. And so now, really quickly here, let's go ahead and make this boolean. So we're going to take this part and boolean that part we just clipped and everything else from. Boolean, you need to flip it. Doesn't really matter, but there it is. Okay. Make a boolean mesh. Insert. Let's see what we got here. Flip. Okay, there it is. That part is missing from there. And it's got enough clearance for the thing to clear. And so now this part we need to cut smaller. We'll do a few more things here. Flip. Do a quick save. Make sure you don't lose anything. So next here, we have a little rod here that's connecting. Let's check the size of this one more time, because this is a very important part and it can't get too small. This is 14 by 14. Now the X and the Z, the height is 29 and the X and the Z is 14 over 14. So that's good. No less than 10 like I always tell you, and 14 is stiff enough, strong enough to hold that part there. Okay, so now this part is a good perfect thickness, but it needs to be smaller. And also I'm gonna take this our cylinder here, duplicate it, and this new one is gonna be a boolean. Turn off boolean. And this one we're gonna increase the size of it to about there. Actually, hold on. Let's see. First, let's cut our disk. So now we need to cut this disk smaller. Not that. This guy, we need to cut this guy smaller. So to cut this guy smaller, let's go to insert primitives here. While we're editing draw mode, let's select cylinder pipe. It's coming close. Excuse me. Let's shrink. Excuse me. Shrink our brush size. Very important. Shrink your brush size before you insert that tool there, and make sure you're in center here, and your brush is smaller than this outer diameter circle. And so there, we're able to insert it exactly in the center. Control Shift click, split hidden. And so here, center this guy, bring this down. So we need to shrink this guy. It's gonna be a Boolean. Turn off polyframe. Okay, so that's not the one we need to cut. This is the one we need to cut. So make sure your Boolean that you want to cut is under it. So this is the part we want to cut with this guy. Exactly. Increase this more. Increase this more. Nope. Wrong thing to increase. Yes, now start with the Boolean. Turn it on. We want to increase that. And what we're trying to achieve is to have this guy. Bring it under the Boolean. All right. Hold on a second, I'm lost there. Right. Okay, so you're cutting. Okay, here we go. Right. So this guy, it's inside this guy. You can't see it. I'll increase the size of this Boolean more here. I just need to cut this more. This is how it was originally. We just need to shrink this enough to there. This is what I meant to do, is compare it. So the inside hole here, we concentrate on this inside hole here. That's the part that's gonna swivel from side to side, and this would be the distance that we have to wait for it to swivel from side to side. So I'm gonna shrink this the Boolean a little more, so I have a little more distance side to side, and I want to cut that. So alright, so I have, once again, I have this guy, and I'm going to cut him with this guy to make him this size. Make Boolean well, Boolean mesh, excuse me. Insert. Okay, that's what you just made. That can now fit inside here. No, inside here. Or better yet, inside this guy. Get him up here. Flip. So that's where he sits, and this part can turn side to side. How the look would be flip. Sorry about that. Rectangle here. Let's hide this back part. Turn off transparent. Hit double. And this is what we got going here. Right? So we don't have enough room for this part to swivel this way. Now what we need here is a hole here. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to take our cylinder here, center that, and we're going to increase this part here to just under here. All you need is a little lip here. To be more precise, this lip should be about 0.04. It's a good size, 0.04. And that's going to be a boolean, and that's going to cut. Let me get it up there. Get rid of it later. Right, so we have this guy, flip, and he's going to be cut by this guy. Hold on, here's what happened here. Cut by this guy. Okay, just like that. So let's go ahead and make that boolean. Insert. Turn off the boolean. So here's the part we just made. Let me hide the back again just so I can show you the inside. Hit double, and that's what you have in there. Right. So now with this pin that's attached to the pelvis here, and this top here that holds that together. This top part is going to swivel side to side and front to front and all the action I showed you. So that's kind of it. Now we have the top done in the front. Now what we need to do next is cut this this front shell. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. To do that, we're gonna insert a tool. Let's get rid of everything else here and pick that cube here. Turn symmetry on and hold down shift, drop it in straight. Control shift click, split hidden. Turn that back on. And again, we're just gonna cut this. Let's see, for this neck, and most of you will have this neck. Kind of just again find the center of your little circle here. And up to here to your neck. Keep that strong up there. And bring this down. And that puts us also in the middle. So if I turn this into if I bring this under a bustier and turn it into a boolean, and turn it into a boolean, there we go. This is what we got. So this would be the back part. So let's go ahead and make that boolean mesh. And I hit insert. Okay, so that's the back. So now we don't need that square anymore. Delete that. We're going to take that part we just made, duplicate that part. We're going to dynamesh that part nice and clean. Dynamesh. Okay, nice and clean part. And we're going to inflate this to 3. Dynamesh again. And now we're going to boolean this from our main guy here, right? Hold on, let me turn everything off. Okay, this guy now, our original, we're going to boolean the part we just made. And this is what the front will look like. So let's make that, make a boolean mesh. Just turn off the boolean, turn everything else off. Insert. Okay, so there we go. So now we have the front cover. We have the back cover. Turn off the front again. And the bust here, this part. Oh, we also need to cut this in 2. So let's do that right now. Oh, one more time, let's insert another cube to this guy. So now we have the pelvis here. This from the front. Symmetry on, insert, hold down shift, drop it in clean and straight. Control shift click, split hidden. Uh-huh. And let's move this back, turns down again. Once again, what you need to do is just get it to the middle of the little circle, of the hole here, just to the middle, give or take. There we go. Now for this guy, he's gonna have that stuff on top. We can attach that right now. So this would be it. Make that a boolean. Make sure it's under the part you're cutting. Turn off boolean mesh. There it is. Okay. Let's make boolean mesh. Insert. So there we have the back. And so now we use the back to cut the front. So we duplicate. Make it a boolean. Dynamesh it. Okay. And we inflate it by 3. Dynamesh again. Okay. And so now we're going to boolean this from our master pelvis here. Alright, so we're going to now take the part we just made that we boolean, turn on boolean, and take it and make the front part, just like we did on the top. So make that boolean mesh. Alright, nice and clean, insert. Alright, so now we have, this is the front, and this is the back. So let me go ahead and delete this boolean, turn off the boolean, delete this boolean, delete. I don't need that box anymore, delete that. Let me do a save as, and I'm going to do version 2. That way if I need it, I have it. So, but I'm going to go ahead and delete my main pelvis here, delete. And so once again, you'll see those fit perfectly well, and you have the back, the front, and the back. And so those would also have attached to them that part. And where's my, let me clean up here a little bit too, because I got a bunch of up here. So this is a boolean that we don't need anymore, delete that. This is also a boolean that we don't need, delete that. And I'm looking for my little rod, here it is, my original rod, that we know is a 0.14 diameter, right? So that would get attached, let me move this up. Okay. So these two need to stay right where they are. So I'm going to merge that down. And those two would get attached to this to the front. Simple. Done and done. There we go. All we gotta do is just hide this little tail. And that part is done. So right, so now that part would lock your legs in place, right? So you put your 2 legs in there, and then you come in with your back cover here. You put that on, that locks the legs in place, and with this knob in the upper arms here, you put in the back part here, which locks the back part and locks the back part of the bottom rotation here, and then you attach the front, and that locks everything into place. That locks the arms into place, and it locks the joint we just made into place. Let me remove the front cover again. This is the back cover. If you take the front cover off, and boop, there it is. So you can see here you lock the bottom, here you lock your top arms, and this pivot would lock. Well, this goes with the front cover. Let me go ahead and put it with the front cover. This goes with the front cover. So the front cover goes with this part. Merge down. Okay, there you go. So that part Close the legs, and then when you cover that, if you add what's it, the back here, conch. Now you can lock you'll have the bottom part of the tab that's sticking out, lock the arms, and then you close that with a front plate and everything is locked together. Now this is missing some screw holes because to lock everything together, the bottom part will glue, but the top part here, we're gonna add 2 screw holes so we can actually screw the top part together. Actually, we're gonna add 1 screw hole to the bottom and 2 screws to the top to lock everything together. Coming up in another video. But for this is all you need. Let me show you real quick what kind of rotation we'll be getting. Let's take the body here, and I'm going to separate the bottom from the top. Okay, split hidden. And now with the top, I'll move this up here. Now to show you the rotation, I'm going to have to attach a few things, right? Let me get rid of a few things to that. This is the master one that's not cut. Delete that. And then we have another one that we don't need. Delete that. So we have the front, the back, bottom torso. So what we need is this, and this to show you the rotation that will be going. Those parts, that's how they hold together. So let's merge that down. Okay, and we just need to add one of these balls. The smaller one. Oh, this doesn't matter really. Let's just get this right under it, on top of it actually. Gizmo, let's center the gizmo. Hold on, shift, click shift, gizmo, clear the mask, center, and now merge that down. Okay, now go to edit draw, control shift, click, flip that, and turn the gizmo back on, and turn everything else on. I don't know what else turned on. Oh, get rid of that crap, and get rid of that, and get rid of. Hold on. So we have that. This. I need the legs. There we go. And so this is what that rotation would look like. If you flip this, you can see how far we can go before whoop right there. That's as far as you can go. As you saw there, the little knob started sticking out. So that's as far as you can go on the side there. Good. Flip. So that's your max on the side. And then of course you can twist it this way. So you get that kind of stuff there. Flip. So you get this much. And then flip from front to back. You get that much in the front. And you get this much. Yep. So I'm seeing the little knob protrude, right? Yep, that's as far as you can go right there. Come in the front. Flip. Oh, wrong button. Be careful with that. And that's what you get out of that. Okay, so next we'll add some screws to this thing. All right, to continue here, we're gonna add some screws or screw holes here to our parts so we can screw them together mechanically as opposed to having them to glue them permanently. You know, a screw will give you the ability to make further revisions to the actual pre-printed part. Okay, so with that in mind, to put a screw in anything, first thing we need to do is actually model the screw so we can then take that screw that we modeled and use it as a boolean. Excuse me. So with that, for all the models we're going to be doing at a 6-inch scale, we're going to be using a screw that I already purchased for us. And so let's go ahead and bring in, insert a cylinder. Okay, in this cylinder, sorry, everything else here. Let's open up the geometry size, and this is 2 inches by 2 inches here. So the length of this screw, I already used my calipers to measure it. So the length of it, the Y here, it's going to be 0.27 of an inch. This is the length of our screw, including the little head and everything, right? So let's actually take this and make this the actual head. So let's duplicate this, and this other one, we're gonna shrink it up this way, and the original one, let's actually shrink it up. The diameter of the actual little screw is it's as you see this image here, this is the me measuring the diameter of the screw. So you can see is the diameter of the screw in this image is 0.08. So what we do for 3D printed parts that are going to be printed in plastic, only in plastic, you can only do this when these parts are going to be printed in some kind of plastic, any plastic, as long as it's not metal. The photo says 0.08, and so what we're going to do is we're going to actually take our screw here, and we're going to make the rod on this half of that, because what we want to do is create a pilot hole that will give us enough material for the little screw threads to grab onto. So if the screw, if the size of the screw, the circumference is with the threads is 0.08, what you want to do is you want to make a pilot hole that's half of that, so it'd be 0.04. So the X and the C here, they're 0.06, so I'm going to go ahead and click and drag this down to its 0.04. 0.04 is half the size of the measurement on our threads, and so that'll also give us a nice little pilot hole, and then that actual hole in the 3D printed part, we're going to run a tap through it that will put screws on it, and will give us a nice threads for our screw to hold on to. Okay, so the rod will be 0.04 by 0.27 long. So this is the length of our screw and half the diameter of our threaded screw. So what we're missing there is that little head, and here's the head. Now the head should be 0.14. Right now it's 0.20. So let's go ahead and click on the yellow here and shrink that down till it's 0.14. There it is, 0.14. We'll just slide it up here to the very edge, give or take, and that's the length of our screw. The height of the head here is 5. It's 0.06. So let's shrink this a little bit. Okay, so this would be the model of our actual screw with the circumference of the threaded area at a half to the measurement at 0.04. So this is what we're going to use as a guide to know what kind of room our screw is going to take up in our model. Oof, we don't need all that. There we go. Let's go ahead and join these two. Merge them down together here. Merge down. Yes. Okay. So there's our screw. That would be the size of our screw compared to 90 degrees. Compared to our top shell here. So with that done, now we need to create some material for the screw threads to grab onto. Excuse me, and so forth. So the next thing we need to do now is let's go ahead and duplicate our screw, and using those same parts, I'm transparent here. First, let's increase this. The screw on. Okay. So now we need some room for the screw to grab onto. Shrink this up. Outer group. And get rid of the little screw part here. Delete hidden. Delete hidden. And let's take this guy. Closing him up here to just right there where the screw would be. Let's see how big this is real quick. This is 0.08. You're going to bring that down to 0.05. 0.04. 0.05. And also, since you're on the right plane here, you see it's 0.05 on the C. And that's fine, 0.05. So that would be enough for our little head here to grab onto. There will just be a hole here, and then behind here is where the thread will be grabbing something. And so with that, let's see how much room there is between the little head and the edge here. 0.03. Let's get the gizmo on here, center of the gizmo, and increase the size of this. Okay. Remember, this is really tiny what we're looking at here. It's not, don't be fooled by what you're seeing in the screen. This is real tiny. This part is just 0.26. It's about 1/4 of an inch. So in here, we have to leave some room here on the side. 0.05. Okay, that's good. So now let's choose, in case you didn't see that, what I just measured was the distance from this edge. Let me turn off. From this edge to the head of the screw here, because this is our screw. This part is our screw. So from here to here is 0.05. So that's a good amount of material. So now I'm going to pick my C modeler, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the line here on the edge, and I'm going to insert and bring this loop to just right there, just before the screw. Right, you want to leave a little distance between the screw and that part. Okay. Now let's go up here and hold down Control Shift. Let's click and select lasso, and with a select lasso selected, let's hold down Control Shift and click on a loop here. And with the lasso selected, it'll allow you to click the whole all that track in that loop. So let's hit Group Visible, Control Shift click, and that'll bring everything back. Now we go back here and we hover over a face, a poly mesh here, and hold down spacebar. And in Target, we're gonna select polygroup all. So now that's anything that's in a polygroup will be affected, and what it will do is it'll do a Q mesh. That's already selected just to begin with. So you're gonna extrude this like this. There you go. And let's just go ahead and grab this and move this up. All right. So that's the part we need there, and let's duplicate that. And let's go back to the original that has the history, and then the history one, let's go back a little bit so we can reuse this part. Okay, so now we have this one that we made and the old one here. The old one we're gonna move back here, and here I want you to eyeball this part here. You're just gonna kind of lean them against each other. I mean, you could measure. You're leaving, let's let me measure. 0.002 of space there, right? If you want to get a measurement. So if you want to get an actual distance measurement there, you would leave 0.002 of distance. And then let's mask this part off and drag this part back. Okay. So what we have here, if I turn this on and turn transparent on, it's basically the part where the screw would come in through here. This part will just have a little hole. And then this part is solid except for a little pilot hole here where the threads are, right? So we have those three parts. We have the screw, the part where the screw is going to grab onto, and the part that's going to grab the screw head and hold the screw. So that's where you actually make the lock or the link. So with that made, let's turn on our chess piece here. Let's go ahead and group these three for now. Merge down, merge down, merge down. So now we have the little kit now with the screw and everything in there. Let's flip that so we can see better what's going on in there, right? So this is the middle here. And I want you to do this right here. Okay, now that's the front. Let me see the back. Put the screw right in the hole. Let's also bring the parts that are gonna be in here. This guy and this guy. Okay, so we got plenty of room there. Question is, can we put two of these screws, right? So let me move this up here. Of course, we can't interfere with any of the stuff that's there already, right? You don't want to. So we put it here. This could work right there. We don't even have to have it that far deep into it. Let's say this guy goes in here like this. Okay, there's enough room here. There's enough room up here. This is getting really thin up here. So let's actually just move it all the way up to there. Okay, that's the first screw up there. Let's duplicate that. And the second screw is going to be down here. Let me move this back closer to the edge. All I'm doing here is looking to hide. This is the head of this right here would be the head of the screw. So I'm looking for that to be under the surface. That way, you know, the head of the screw doesn't stick out. You want to kind of bring it in. So then all you have in the back, it's a little hole, not the screw head sticking out of the skin. And that's it. That's the same thing I did for this guy, right? This is where the head of the screw would be, so it's inside the skin. This would be the head of the screw, and it's inside the silhouette here from the back. You'll see, if you don't understand yet, you'll see more as we keep on. Okay, so that's good in the back. This is good in the back, and then let me check the front again. Right. Right, so this part here now will be attached to this, and this would come up here to the middle to let the screw grab on it and pull it back. Okay, let me flip these guys back. Flip. Let me go ahead and duplicate one more and just slide it down because we're gonna need one more for the torso. I mean the hip area on the bottom. Okay. So let me turn everything else off, and we'll start with this part. So here, let me do an auto group. I mean outer group. There we go. And let's see, control. Let's get rid of the lasso. Control Shift. Control Shift click. That's our first part. Split hidden. Okay, and here we have the back part and the screw. So split hidden. There we go. And so now this part gets attached to this guy. So all we have to do is just cut off this extra part that's here. So let's Control Shift, select the trim curve. Now remember, make sure you select the trim curve, not the slice curve, because I know it says slice curve, but it doesn't do any slicing. It just puts a line across. If you actually want to cut into the piece, you need to get the trim curve, the one that has a little scissors. Anything that has little scissors is actually going to cut into your part. Anything that doesn't have scissors just puts a line in it. And I don't mean a line like it puts my name in it, right? The difference would be this real quick. This is putting a line in it, right? Or a loop. And this is obviously cutting it. So that's the difference. So don't forget that, because if not, the tools do not do the same thing. And you don't want to get stuck wondering why you're not getting a cut when that's what you think you should be getting. Okay, you want to make sure that flip that the part we're going to join together, see, you're getting this this little hole here. We don't want that. Let me go back in here. There we go. So what we need to do here is just trim the middle. This middle here. That's what we need to do. So let's do. We click Alt. Like, let's just put a curve in it. There we go. So now we're inside. Let's take a little more from this side. Okay, so now you can see you're inside the shell. If you look here, you're inside the shell, just barely, but we're gonna dynamesh this. We just don't want to be out or want to be not in enough. You need to be in enough, but not too far. So let's flip this back. Flip, flip, there we go. And let's bring it down and merge it with that rod. Merge down, okay. Let's go ahead and dynamesh that. Put it at 700, dynamesh. Ooh, let's increase that dynamesh more. Put it at 1100. There we go. You don't want any change in the edges anymore. Now when you do a dynamesh, at this point we want to keep all the work we've done. So you want to keep, now is when you want to get active points are around 1,000,003, 1,000,005, and you want to keep the mesh nice and dense so you can keep all the work you've done. You don't want to lose any resolution on this. So be mindful of that as we move forward here at this stage of the process. Okay, so we're at the front done. Now let's move on to the back here. Now for the back, we're going to take the back piece here, and we're going to take that little knob that we have with a little hole in it, and what we're going to do is we're going to boolean the back. For starters here, we're going to boolean the back from this little pub. So let's turn the back into a negative. Now we're not going to do any type of inflate in this operation, okay? Not yet. So we're not inflating anything. All I'm doing is taking the main part here and turning it into a boolean. Let's turn a boolean mesh, and this is the part we're getting here. This is what we want. Make a boolean mesh. Okay, insert that. Okay, let's do auto group, and let's Control Shift click and delete that other part. Delete hidden. Okay, so now that's gonna go. Let's put our main part here back into normal mode. So that's gonna go with this little pug here, and we know that's exactly the perfect distance to that other tower where the screw hole is. So these two need to be merged now. Don't worry about the hole in the middle for now. Merge down. Okay, And let's go ahead and dynamesh this. So get it nice and high like we know from the last part. And 1100 dynamesh. Okay, good. So you don't want any you don't want any when you dynamesh at this point, you don't want any loss of sharp edges. So keep your when you do an dynamesh, keep your eyes on the edges and make sure the edges are staying sharp. And that's where you want to be. Okay, so we have that. Now we have the little screw that goes on there. Now this little screw, let's bring that down under everything here. This little screw, which is half the distance on the circumference here, and the head is the exact size that we need it to be. We need to, let's go to turn off boolean, edit and move, and that's transpose line. Let's hold down control and click on the back head here. Turn on the gizmo, center. Actually, we're not going to use the gizmo. Let's go back to editor and draw mode. But with the back part selected, let's increase that deformation, inflate, and let's do an inflate of 3 on just the back part of the head, right? Okay. So now we're going to take the transpose line, we're going to mask off this much, and we're going to drag this back. And so we're going to make this a negative boolean. Let's turn off transparent and so on, and turn on boolean, and this is what we're getting. So now our little screw will be able to go in here, and it will be flush with the surface of the shell here. So let's go ahead and make that like a boolean mesh. And with that, we'll have the first screw ready to go. Okay, let's insert. All right. So there we go. Now we can put our screw right in there. That's our boolean screw, but let me change this back to how it was. There we go. This will be our screw now, and now this fits back here, nice and flush and out of sight. And it will link on to our front part here that has, let me show you the screw without boolean. Actually, we have to make, go ahead and make our boolean hole on the front part here. So let's go ahead and do that. Turn everything off, turn on the screw. That's our pilot hole. Make a boolean mesh. And now our bottom screw is down. So we insert this into our scene. Okay, and there it is. We turn on the boolean, and this is the screw that would hold these two parts up, hold these two parts together. So let's clean the scene here and get rid of some parts. We don't need that anymore. Delete. We need that part. Okay, let's move on here and I hesitate and put on the top screw. This one. Okay, let's actually go ahead and move this to just under the surface there. Move like that. Okay, so let's auto group that and separate that into pieces. Select rectangle, click. Click, I want that piece first, split hidden. And now on here, let's take this piece. That's the screw, this piece, split hidden. All right, so let's start with, let's say do a save real quick. Make sure we don't lose anything. And so that guy we don't need anymore. So let's get rid of that guy. Delete. And so we have our front, back, our front. Let's move our front up here, and that's gonna get this piece first. Right. So now this piece also has to be taken out of the back piece. Out of here to accommodate this going into here, that far back. So let's start by duplicating this part because it's going into our back part here. We're going to duplicate that, turn that into a boolean. We don't have to dynamesh this one because it's a simple low end tool, so this will inflate just fine. Actually, I take that back. We do have to dynamesh this. Sorry about that. So we dynamesh this part, okay, and do an inflat of 3. And dynamesh again. That will ensure that now this goes into that part. Let's turn on the boolean here, turn off polyframe. Go into this part, take this part off. I don't want that. That's clear to see here. We're going to boolean. Oh, you're the one getting boolean. So let's get you up here with this rod like that. So we have a space for that to fit in there. Okay, let's go ahead and make that boolean. Okay, I just noticed I booleaned the wrong part. This is the old part that doesn't have a screw hole. So let's delete that. There's the problem with those things happening, right? This is the part we want that's finished. So let's move that up here. This is why you gotta keep saving versions and keep cleaning your scene so you don't make mistakes like that. So now this one's the finished one that has the hole already. So that's the one we want to put this cavity on top here to make sure that the front part fits in there. So make a boolean mesh. Insert. So this is the new part with the part removed. So let's go ahead and get rid of that part, which is the old one. Delete. Okay, and this, so that back part is ready to go so far. Now back to the front part. This front part now gets this guy. Let's go ahead and erase the boolean we made for that guy, which is center. Turn off boolean. Let's erase that boolean, delete. This part now goes with this part. So what we need to do is just simply get rid of what's sticking out here so we can dynamesh these two together. Let's select our trim curve. Just cut off the front here. Okay. And we're gonna dynamesh. Let's flip the this guy here to make sure that we got a good so you can see we got a little triangle sticking out here. The way we're gonna fix that real quick is let's go to the planner, go to the brush palette here, get the planner brush, turn on symmetry, make this a little bigger, and while we're in on the flip mode here on the upper torso, oops, let's make the brush smaller. There we go. That way it won't influence the surface. See, the size of the brush, the bigger the brush is, the more you influence the surface. And in this case, it was breaking to both surfaces. I just want to influence the inner surface here. So I shrunk my brush enough that it only influences the bottom part here. And I was able to make that flat and next to the cylinder here. That way when I dynamesh, this will be a solid part. Let's flip that back. All right. And so now we can merge down. And let's go ahead and do a 1100 again, dynamesh. Okay, that's ready to go. let's go ahead and make the Boolean little hole in that. Let's turn the screw into a negative Boolean. There we go. Turn on Boolean. And now with the little hole on top, we'll be done with the front part here. So make a Boolean mesh. Insert. Turn everything else off. Turn Boolean off. That's the part we just made. That's gonna go into this part. And if we flip it and we turn on the part it's gonna go into, we can see it's not overlapping or going into the part in any place. If not, you would see that integrating material effect that you get, that you've seen already in class. Okay, so that's good. Flip that back and let's clean house here. So this is the part we want that has the two little towers for the screws and the holes. So let's delete this one. And so here we have the back, the front. Again, this is the front all ready to go, where the screws can attach to it there and there, and the pilot holes ready to be threaded. Now the back simply needs the top hole for the screw. So that will be this piece that's going in here. So like before, first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the top part here, let's get it under the cylinder, and you're going to make this a negative. You're not going to inflate it or anything else. You're just going to make it a negative, and you're going to cut that from the cylinder. Make sure everything is off, just those two parts. Negative should look like this. We just want this little part to add to the other part, and we're going to weld those two together. That's why we're not inflating, because we just want to cut this off and then take this part and glue it to the main part. Make a Boolean mesh. Insert. Okay, do auto group. Control Shift click, delete hidden. And now that part and this part, turn off Boolean. Put the main part back to normal. It's not a Boolean anymore. And these two parts we're gonna mix together, merge down, and Dynamesh. Let me get this on top here, and I'm gonna merge this with this. Merge down. I think that's, nope, 1100. Dynamesh. Okay, and let's go ahead and put the little screw hole on here. But of course, like we did before, what you're gonna have to do is, there are two polygroups here, there are two colors, so you put on edit and move and click on one to select it. Then you hit gizmo, you center the gizmo. Then we're gonna go down here to inflate. Now just the back head is selected, right? Not the rod. And inflate, we're gonna go inflate of 3. Okay. Now we're gonna mask off the back part here, and we're gonna pull this, get rid of the transpose line, shift, straighten, and then hold on shift and pull it straight out. And that's gonna be a Boolean. It already is. Turn off the grid, turn off transparent, turn off Boolean mode here, and there you are. Right, so now the screw will go all the way into there, away from the surface, and will hold that little tower that's reaching from this part to tighten the top part here together with those two. So make a Boolean mesh. Now, so it's another. So remember, when it does it, it always puts it in another scene. So you have to bring it into your scene. Insert. That's the part we just made. Turn off the Boolean, and so we're done. Right? Let me clean the house here a little bit. Let me do a save. Save, yes. Okay. And let's see. Let's get rid of. Well, actually, let's just bring this back to when it was just a screw. Not a negative. Same for this guy. He's fine. Now we don't need these parts. Delete. We don't need that part. Let's save. Come on. Much to my life. So we have the front part. Delete that. And let's see. This is the old back part. Let's delete that. And here's the new back part. Well, the hole's ready to go. So you can put the screws on there. You put the screws together. Merge down, just for show. So this part will be held down by these two screws, like that. And of course, once you lock that together, that would hold this part, because this part, well, now we're going to put one screw hole on this one to hold this one together, but and that will hold the legs. And then let me clean this up a little bit here. We got this and this. We got this. We got this. Okay, there we go. That's the problem. This is the old part. Let's delete that. Okay. So we have the front and we have the back. And this part and this part need to go together. Merge down. And let's bring this up because that goes with this. All we need to do is bring that little knob off here. Okay, so that part is all ready to go. So we'll put a screw hole on these two guys that will hold the legs together. And then the top shells, you put one in. Why did that turn off? I don't know. What is this? This needs to be together with this, right? So let me go up here. Merge down. Okay. So then turn on the back part here. You slide that in under the little shell. You put in your arms, and then you put in your front shell, and you screw that together. So one more screw hole for the bottom part here, and we're done. All right, to finish up here, let's go ahead and add the screw hole to our bottom piece here. So we have that extra little screw kit we made, and we have this guy. And so let's move this up into place here. This up here. So that's enough room. That'll grab it on the bottom and the top. And there. This how okay. So remember, you want the head of the screw, if we flip this over, the little head of the screw, which is about this big, to be inside. So that's basically where you want this. So let's go ahead and separate it. Flip. Okay, so the placement of that is good. So let's start by let's separate this little kit into the parts here. Let's start by hitting auto groups. Turn everything else off. Okay, split hidden. And on this part here, we're gonna get this part, the screw in the back end here, split hidden. All right. And so we're gonna take that part that goes with this part. Turn off the now this part goes with this part. Turn off the screw. So like before, we need to cut this part off here. Let's select trim curve and just cut it off right here. Okay, That's good. Let's flip this part and see. Okay, that's good. It's completely into it and not getting out of it. So these two can be dynameshed. So let's get this on top of our cylinder here, merge down, and we're gonna go ahead and dynamesh at 1100. That's good. And let's see. Bum, 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 bum. So now the back part here. Oh, this also needs the hole for the screw, the pilot hole, right? So let's go ahead and do that to finish up with the front here. Insert. And let's get rid of the old one. Delete. Okay, so we're done with finish. Now let's make the hole in the back to accommodate for the part that's sticking out here of this guy now. So on this guy, we need to accommodate, on this guy, we need to accommodate a hole for this guy. So let's take this guy, let's dynamesh him. And let's inflate it. Inflate him to 3. Here we're inflating because he's going to be the negative cavity for the little plug that's going to stick in there. Inflate to 3. Okay, dynamesh again. And let's go ahead and turn on Boolean mesh, make this guy a negative. There we go. That's what we need there. And so make a Boolean mesh. Insert. And so now let's get rid of the old one here. Delete. On this new one, what we need is this part now. So like we did on the top, we're going to take our main guy here and we're going to turn him into a negative, and we're going to cut him from that part, so then we can weld this to our guy. So make a Boolean mesh, insert, turn everything off, auto groups, Control Shift click, delete hidden, and we're gonna now turn our main guy here back away from to normal mode, and we're gonna merge him down with the little part that we just did. Merge down, and these two will be dynameshed. Okay, and this needs now the little screw hole. So like the same way we did on the top for all the other ones, we need to take the little red part, right? So hold down, Control, click on it, that selects it. So now while it's selected, let's get down to inflate, and inflate of 3, enter. Let's mask off the back and pull this out. And now that will be the Boolean for this guy to accommodate the screw hole in the screw, right? Just like that. So make a Boolean mesh. Okay, insert. There's the part we just made. Let's get rid of the old one, delete. Let's get the screw back to normal. There we go. And so we have this, that now once you put the legs in there, you can add the top here, screw that together, and then you can add this part here, slide it in, put the front on, and screw that together. And now with those 3 screws, you're holding your entire doll, the arms and everything else, because these parts will actually have a rod going through them, a metal rod going through them. Okay, so that should give you something to do. All right.